Hello, my friendly acquaintances. Welcome to Fire Your Boss, the panel of three marketing experts. Well, I'll say two marketing experts. I
Hey,
don't
I
put
resent
myself.
that.
I don't. I don't. Or what do they say? I resemble that comment.
That was
Yes.
my remark, yeah.
Yeah.
uh, I consider myself not an expert, but more of a marketing aficionado. I guess that would be uh, an appropriate term at this point. And I have a certain revenue figure before I can start calling myself an expert. But gentlemen, introduce yourselves to the audience.
Yes, sir. I am Dan Jones, sometimes known as T-Bone Jones of Conversion Chemistry. I am the entrepreneur catalyst, and what I like to do is take side hustles into careers. And I work with small businesses to, allow them to make a lot more by spending less, maximizing ROI.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yes, very nicely said, partner and esteemed colleague. I am Frank Aaron, a formerly bankrupt tractor trailer driver from New Jersey who went full-time on the internet back in August of 1996, sold millions of dollars by now in products and services. And I like to think I'm the everyman solution to whatever internet confusion they are experiencing right now. I'm the internet detangler and the internet unscrambler. There's so many messages. Buy this. No, click there. You got to do this. No, SEO, AdSense, AdWords, advertise, social media. I like to take a deep breath and here's what we need to really do. Adam Jonesy's partner in conversion chemistry. Proud partner. Yes.
We
Sit up a
love
little
it.
straighter, Jonesy, when I say it. Like this. Yeah, chest out.
Got my bird
Absolutely.
chest going on, yeah.
Absolutely, man. Now we're just glad to be here. We like helping people is the main thing. All that stuff's great, resume and CV and all, but we know what we're doing and we care about people, and it's a pretty good combination, I think, humbly, you know. It's one thing to know stuff and be a jerk, but like it's another thing to have good guys like you two to actually put the time in, to help share information and guidance and watching out for the average person because there's a lot of people that'll say, oh, it's sales, it's just sales. But you're taking somebody's money, their dreams, their time, their confidence, their belief in themselves and stuff like that. Anytime you go to, oh, look at a walk-on cameo from one of my cats. That's great.
I wasn't sure if that was your tail or what.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's, hey, Clyde, come here, man, right there. These cats, I have to get a can of air, to compressed air and just when they come by. But
My
yeah,
black cat took off about 4 weeks ago. Did he make it to Briningsville?
this is my cat. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
we'll see.
Oh, he did show up at the neighbor's door a few years ago, and she rang the bell. He was all scraggly and emaciated. Um, and she goes, hey, did you guys lose a cat? And we're like, no, why? She goes, there's one on my front porch. So we took him in, fattened him up. He's a 19-pounder and lives the life of a retired country gentleman, as it
Wow.
were.
So that's what we do. We take entrepreneurs, people who are looking for a change, the scraggly cats from the street, and we turn them into good eating fat cats living the high life.
It's a very
Nice
nice metaphor.
analogy.
Look at
Good
that.
save.
Took the
Good
ball and
save.
ran with it, you little copywriter, you.
Marketing.
Oh,
Yes, absolutely. And let's talk about marketing today, shall we, George?
we are going to do that. That just reminded me of John Lovett's character when he used to do the master thespian, and he would say acting like that. So like marketing. All right. Last time we talked about host beneficiary relationships, endorsements, developing a back end. Let's talk about a few things today. First on the agenda is advertising. When most people think advertising, they think, let's whip out the checkbook. And advertising costs a lot. As a matter of fact, there was a series on AMC about the advertising elite. I guess it was called Mad Men. I never saw it. I know a lot of people love the show Mad Men, and it was about advertising executives. And I guess back there was the glory days of advertising. Things have changed since the days of Mad Men. Jonesy, talk to me about advertising today.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up things have changed. Yes, they have. The channels have changed, the modalities have changed. But what hasn't changed is that you're delivering a message to get somebody to take action. So an ad has a couple of crucial parts. It's the hook, it's the visual, if it's that type of ad, or the audio portion of it, and the call to action, right? So that's one thing that actually hasn't changed. And since we were just talking about some 80s stuff, I just thought about how remember junk faxes, how they used to be a thing. Like if you had a business
Yes.
fax machine, like the
Yeah.
local pizza place would send you their menu and stuff like that. Not really junk faxes, I guess, because if you were on their list or whatever, and you were a business that would order frequently, we would get them. Like even one of my first jobs in high school was working at Staples, the office superstore.
Yes.
And we did business in the area, and we would get our lunch specials faxed to us at the Staples Copy Center. And if you think about it, that's really no different than an in-feed ad that you would see on social media, or not a billboard. It's kind of different, but like a bus stop ad or something like that, or even like a mailer, a door hanger.
Right.
So what I'm getting at is that the components haven't changed, only the modality has.
Yeah.
It still has to be you get benefit now. The purpose of the headline on any ad, whether it's online or offline, is to get people to read the subheadline. Purpose of the subheadline is to get people to read the first sentence in the first paragraph, on and on and on to reach a logical conclusion of the only thing left for them to do is whip out the card and push the order button.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I take advantage of, I'm not as, well, let me put it this way. I'm not as resentful about advertising since there is just really hardcore focused advertising with the web. When I see ads pop up on my social media platforms, they're not as intrusive as pop-ups used to be. And I have the option of saying, I don't like this ad, and it disappears, or
Mhm.
Yeah.
stop presenting ads like this. And I usually will hit that button unless I like it. I'm like, okay. For instance, I am on a health quest right now to kind of like more of a longevity quest, and I want to do what it takes to live a long life, or as long as I can possibly live. And just doing some searching on my phone, my gosh, at least right now, at least 80% of the ads that show up on my social media are about testosterone, supplements, working out, all kinds of health related issues. And I actually don't mind because it's really tailored to me. I kind of like what's going on. It's not as offensive as pop-ups in the past, and it's not, I don't feel like they are junk mail like I used to get junk mail. Uh, and I don't feel like I have to sit through a 20-second pitch before a video starts, because right now all the ads that are targeted to me actually serve me well, and some of them are really very educational. That's what I have found.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword if you think about it. Is one, there is more advertising out there in the wild, in the world, in front of us all day, every day than there ever has been. And it's very noisy and can be very intrusive just from an input standpoint of just how much we can as human beings parse in a given day. But to your point, the other side is how highly targeted, at least the intent of targeting can be, where you're being fed ads that supposedly your avatar, your demographic, whatever behaviors, interests that your searching history has shown, that you are a likely candidate for this particular product or service. And at the end of the day, that's what marketing is connecting product or service, connecting a solution to somebody who needs it. So yes, we can say that it's a good and evil because we are bombarded, but if it's done well, then the correct message is getting to the right people. And at least it's the best case scenario when it comes to
Yeah.
the targeting.
Yeah, I'm finding that targeted ads, I'm seeing that, like when it comes to video and the photographs, I see a lot of guys with gray hair, a lot of guys with like white beards, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of, I can see how they're targeting me because I see people. I mean, I forget who it was that talked about it at the conference, to like go down three niches. So, like, I'm not just a male. I'm a male over 60, and I'm a male over 60 with, you know, with gray hair and a gray beard. I mean, they're really literally targeting the heck, like, right. I mean, it's bullseye. I feel like these ads are made just for me. They're getting really, really good.
Yeah. I'm looking through my Impact School of Marketing notebook to see, I remember specifically the three niches. Which is it's not exactly a new concept, but when you hear multiple leaders in our space talk about it, yeah, I'm going to start listening. And that example, I'm gonna have to keep skimming through what we talked because
Okay.
I want to remember who said that. On the subject of the Impact School of Marketing Impact event, the 3-day events, there's so much that came out of that I did. I literally scribbled notes, and one of my goals in the next week or two is to parse it and actually
Yeah.
make sense of it all.
When
Yeah.
you're done with yours, can you help me with mine?
Yeah.
You know, these 2 pages are all notes from that event,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
I
it
got
was
I
good
got a few
stuff.
pages too.
Good
Definitely.
stuff. Oh wait, here's the last of it. So I got 2.25 pages of
Mm.
stuff out of it. So pretty decent turn of events. And I'm a big proponent. Well, we've talked about this before. I'm a big proponent of attending live events, and just all the good things that come out of them. If you're open-minded, if you're friendly, and if you're somebody that can mingle with people and just strike up conversations.
Well, guess what, Frank? I've got news for you. Now that you've mentioned this and set it into a device, you're now going to be served ads for live events, summits, and conferences for at least the next 48 to 72 hours, because that is now your current avatar. You have just identified that specific niche. That's the third level niche, right? Myself, George, Frank, as the avatar, the target audience. Each of us, that changes. There is some fluidity into it. Yes, our demographics are pretty static. We age, but we're in the same demographic for like 10 years at a time. Geography, unless you're moving, that's static. Your beliefs, interests, most of those are static attributes. But then now I'm down this third level niche. I'm suddenly showing an interest or an affinity for live events. And then a marketer or an ad agency who's targeting correctly, Frank really now is gonna see those ads, or really probably all of us now that we're honing down on this subject. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna take some screenshots after this and see what happens. But that's the third level niche right there. That's kind of it's fluid,
So you're
which means
saying
that
that's my fault.
well, naturally, yeah, I needed to
Yeah.
blame you for something.
Well, I should have talked more about like Jennifer Love Hewitt and Diane Lane, for example, because I'd like to see more of that in my feed, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Google, whatever you do, don't show me more pictures of Diane Lane. Google, whatever you do, Google, do not populate my feed with Diane Lane. I'm begging you.
Anything but
Facebook, there's a
Diane Lane.
Facebook page called Pretty Old Celebs. Now, what they qualify as old actually is kind of disturbing to me now.
I think this calls for some immediate research.
That
My
reminds
God.
me of the what was the Woody Allen movie years ago? Sleeper, where he was in like a time capsule and they woke him up like 1,000 years later.
Oh, that was great, man. That was
It,
great.
it, it was, and I remember it was a society that didn't even have like pornography, and it was funny. They were asking him about like the era that he lived in. They're like, and they showed like a Playboy magazine. They're like, "What is this? This was in the capsule with you." And he's like, "Well, here, let me take that. I need to do some research." And he puts it away.
It's for the
That's,
articles.
yeah, yeah. I read it from the articles. Oh, that's funny. All right, so advertising is important. Advertising can be passive, it can be active. I know our products can advertise. You guys know that I cut hair part time. I'm a third generation hair cutter. And I had a guy tell me this week, he said to me, people ask me all the time, who cuts your hair? Who cuts your hair? And this has been going on forever. If I do a great job with somebody, like the haircut is an advertisement. It's almost like unintentional. In the hair cutting industry, people like to say that our clients are walking billboards for our services. And I don't know if that applies. I guess that that might apply to other things, like car detailing, something where people see a beautiful product and like, hey, wow, your car looks great. Oh, as a matter of fact, I got it done from so and so, and they hand them a card, whatever. Uh, or I guess, hey, your website is awesome. I love it, man. Oh, as a matter of fact, Jonesy did that. Here's his email, that type of thing. So I think our work is a walking billboard, so to speak, a very dynamic thing. It's not just a one and done kind of thing.
So yeah, and with that, and when it's not something that's particularly branded, like we'll use uh, haircutting as an example, or it could even apply to a salon job. Um, sure, you have a visual representation of the work that was done, but it's the experience that the person carries with them. And no, it's not everybody's not going to ask about it, but that's the in right there. Hey, who did your hair? That's a really great fade. You can see I don't know anything about haircutting, so I'm speaking out of my
Second hand, right?
Yeah, but
and
yeah,
my
but I
domain,
can
but
see somebody saying, "Wow, your head is smooth. Who shaved your head? Who did that?"
my barber BIC.
Yeah, all right.
There you go.
But that's what I'm getting at is then when you're George, somebody like yourself, it's yes, you have the craftsman touch of your hand and your work product, but it's also the experience that I know your clients get when you are done when you're doing that work, and when they're done, they take that with them. And then when somebody asks, "Hey, what about this?" and then they're gonna say, "Oh, well, let me tell you about George."
I had the most successful hairstylist. He's a big follower of mine. He used to work in New York. Now he's in California. And this guy, he does celebrities. People, I think the last time I checked, his haircuts were like $2,400. It's like, holy cow. So I remember him saying at least 10 years ago, because people don't come to you for a haircut, they come to you for an experience. And that just switched something on in my head. And at that point, I had to kind of do the total quality management. I come from, years ago, the corporate world where we talked about CQI, TQM, total quality management, continuous quality improvement. Every move you make from the moment, like literally from the moment someone walks in the door, you have to manage their experience from the second they step foot in your facility, or from the first second that you call them, right down to how you answer the phone, just everything. You are in complete control of that. And when you do have complete control over that, you end up creating an experience. And I'll never forget him saying that. And I thought to myself, that's pretty wild, because I know the average person that comes to see me drives past 50 barbershops or salons to come sit in my chair. And I only do this part time. This is kind of like for me, it's like a fun retirement job. This is not my career. But people will drive past 50 barbershops to get to me. And I asked that question when I was doing consulting with beauty students at various beauty academies up in Allentown, Downingtown, Ambler. I've taught at so many barber and beauty academies. And I'm like, what's different about you? Why would people come to you? Why would people pass 20 salons to come and sit in your chair? And if there's that uncomfortable silence, then I'm like, okay, well, we got some work to do.
You know what? Maybe once in a while, I wouldn't mind a haircut from somebody else, just back in the chair and the warm towel and all that.
Yeah.
That's an experience. And I'll tell you, segueing into that a little bit, there is a place in West Ealing, London, England, called Hawali. First time I used to be in London routinely. I mean, every 3 months or so for years. And one night, this friend of ours, Sikh, he says, "You want good Indian? Come with me." We went to this place. It's HAWALI in West Ealing. And oh my God, you walk in there, they come to the table with this and that. It's very ceremonious. And your beer, your Kingfisher or whatever, it's never emptied or always reported. You know what they do halfway through the meal? They bring you a wet, red hot towel and washcloths for your face and your hands and everything. And the second you need something, they're right there. And the food was so good. I'm raving about it. 15 years since I had the last meal there. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so now anytime I go to London, I have to go to Hawali's because it was that good. It was such an experience. I'm like, you bringing me another towel, another towel? Yeah, yeah, that's how we do it. That and and there's a million kebab places down the street. What do I need? And it wasn't even expensive or anything. It was very reasonably priced, but the service I will never forget. And that stuff doesn't have to cost you any more than loud. Matter of fact, it costs you less to give good service than to give bad service, because bad news travels just as much as good news does.
Yeah. Yeah. When I ask people, tell me about your most favorite steak. And 9 times out of 10, they talk about the experience as well as the actual piece of meat itself. And there's a difference between getting a steak at a diner and a steak at a nice steakhouse. It's a nice steakhouse creates an experience. You get the hot towel, the hot lemon towel. You get the guy that comes by and cleans up the crumbs on the table and all this kind of stuff. It experience is huge. I actually, you know what? I'm actually going to write that down, and we'll talk more about that at a later time. The experience, interesting. And I find it interesting that Joe Rogan calls his podcast the Joe Rogan Experience. Interesting. The last time I heard that was, well, I had a Facebook page called the George Bruno Experience, and then I got mad at Facebook and impulsively deleted my my page. But prior to that, I remember the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Yes.
The Jimi, and it really, think about it. I mean, there's the Jimi Hendrix Experience is incredible. It is an experience.
He even had a song, Have You Ever Been Experienced?
Have you ever been
Yeah.
experienced?
Well, I have. That's how the
Yep.
song went. Yeah.
Yep.
I know it. I know it. There's and branding does not have to be expensive. There's a I was down in Austin in October, right? And I like all different kind of music, but mostly like probably traditional country or honky tonk country that you can dance to and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was this band I saw on YouTube, 2 Tons of Steel, right? And I go into this place. I was in like I say, Texas on business. I said, you know what? They're playing local. I'm gonna go catch them. Same thing. I'm in this place, this roadhouse, and there's maybe 50 people in the place. They played such a good show, and they were so accessible that I am constantly, every time there's a Facebook post, I tell people how great they are, how much fun they are to see in person, how friendly. The guy Kevin, the lead singer and guitarist, he forgot to bring shirts, like 2 tons of steel shirts. He took the time to say, "Hey Frank, give me your info. When I get back home, I'll send you 2 of them." And we'll pay through Venmo or whatever. Now, how big a fan do you think I am of 2 Tons of Steel?
Yeah.
All the guy Kevin did was treat me like a human. Our point here is you don't have to go out of your way or do anything magical or incredible or unduplicatable or overly expensive to stand out in the marketplace. You just got to use your head, man. Treat the other guy like you want to be treated. You got a customer for life. I look at McDonald's now, and yes, well, it used to be fast and convenient. Now you wait for 10 cars in front of you. You might be 15 minutes in a drive-in by me. A fry and a shake is $9, without a bun, a burger, I should say. And it doesn't even look like a McDonald's anymore. And I'm like, what are these people going for? Like, what? I mean, maybe you can't argue with their market share, but to me, they're losing something. It's not the McDonald's I used to go to. And if you go inside, they have you ordering yourself, pushing this button. What's next? I'm going to leap over the counter and
Yeah.
cook my meal too. The hell with that, man. I'll go to
Then
a
you got to clean
diner.
up afterwards.
Yeah, see, that's the part I don't like. I'll go
Grab
to a
a
diner.
bucket and mop from bottom to top.
Well, it'll end up being like Total Recall. They will implant a chip in your brain where you experience the full McDonald's meal.
Yeah.
I'll take that because their fries are to die for. But
Right.
other than that, you could keep the place. But that's my point, is you don't have to be all crazy and go above your station. You just think about, what do people want, Why
Well,
is
that's kind of
McDonald's?
like where Chick-fil-A comes in, because at the price point, they're the same as McDonald's. They're fast food like McDonald's, but they have created raving fans because the quality of service is higher and the food is objectively better. But I mean, still, it's fast food chicken. All right, they are not saying that they are Capital Grille or Ruth's Chris. They know what they are. They're best in class for fast food because they do it better. They're more efficient, and they say things like "my pleasure" consistently.
Yeah.
And the bar's
It's
pretty low.
interesting. 20 years ago, I read in Harvard Business Review, I don't even know if that still exists, if that's still a thing, but I used to read that on a regular basis. And they did a study on customer surveys. And, would you like to, if you go to this website and take this customer survey, you'll be entered into a drawing for a $100 gift card or like whatever. You see that in all the different receipts. Or remember, there used to be cards at a table, like a stack of cards, customer survey cards, and you'd put it, like a comment box kind of thing. And I remember they distilled customer survey. Like, nobody wants to take a 20-question customer survey. Like, when I get like one of these like Survey Monkey things, is that the name of the website, Survey Monkey?
That's one of them, yes.
Yeah. And there's like 20 questions. I'm like, I don't have time. I don't want to take 20 seconds anymore. I don't want to answer 20 questions. Harvard Business Review did a study of customer surveys, and it came down to one question is the most powerful customer survey question of all time. and it was this: on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend uh, establishment X or product X to another person? That
Yeah.
was it. One question. That's what it boils down to. And it is not so much the product as it is the experience. Like we talked about last time, that place down in the Outer Banks of Kill Devil Hills. Like, you want to hear them say, eat and get the hell out.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
is their food the best? Nope, it really isn't. It's your typical diner-ish eatery, but the experience is hilarious. You have a good time.
And what did that cost them? Nothing. The guy said it one day and it worked, and he did a shtick. You know what I mean? It's doesn't have to cost a lot, not at all. A little bit of imagination and common sense, and sometimes that may cost certain people a lot because not everybody, unfortunately, has common sense anymore.
Yeah.
That's a whole
All
nother
right.
episode.
The experience is also advertising, because when people can't stop talking about the experience, they become a walking radio ad, a walking billboard for you. All right, next on the list is direct mail. We had a direct mail guy at the conference, Ryan Allaire, I believe. I don't know if that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
But with the advent of email marketing, there became a lot of like email supremacists. And there's a few people like Ben Settle who still believe that a hard copy of a newsletter coming to your house every month is superior. And he calls himself a right supremacist, as in right, a play on the words white supremacy. He calls himself a right supremacist, but he actually writes a newsletter and has it literally shipped off to a printer, who then sends it off to a fulfillment house and literally sends it to so many people. Direct mail is not dead. Gentlemen, do you agree?
I agree
I
because
would agree.
yeah, I with my property business, the buying and selling of raw land, we still use direct mail to this day. As a matter of fact, we started the business 4 years ago, and for the first year, 1 or 2 years, all we did was direct mail. Now we've since evolved to SMS and ringless voicemail and all this stuff. But the ultimate follow-up at the end is going to be a direct mail piece. And I get a lot of comments on because now with the ringless voicemail, I hear from people that don't respond to SMS or direct mail or anything, and they'll say, 10 people direct mailed me, sent me mail for this one property. You're the only one that did anything different. And again, direct mail works, but it's the last thing we do now in that industry. I would like to talk to our guy that was there, and kind of get a sense of what he thinks about this and all, because it does work. I used to, 1996 to 1999 or so, I managed $5,000 or $10,000 a month of direct mail, mail outs, in my network marketing group back then. We used to mail out those little, they don't come out anymore. It doesn't, those little sort of 3x5 or 5x7 card packs that came in the mail, all different business opportunities.
Boy, there's a blast from the past.
We were always in those, George, and BizOp
Yeah.
magazine, stuff
Yes.
like that. We'd have a
Yes.
full page ad and this and that. And it worked. It definitely worked then. And I think my friend Nick James over in England just ran a direct mail workshop a few months ago, and I couldn't make it, and I wanted to. Probably my mom or something like that, some health issue or whatever, couldn't make it. But he swears by direct mail. And he's somebody that we can pull in here at some point and get him on for an interview as well.
I think the next round of Fire Your Boss is going to be the three of us as hosts, and then not do hot seats with people, but do collaborate with other people in business and see what their secrets are. People are not afraid to share their secrets. And I think it would be fun. Have three hosts, grilling or communicating or talking to another expert. So it'll be like 4 experts. So I think that'll be the next level of Fire Your Boss.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I went behind both of your backs and talked to Rich Weiler yesterday, who was also part of the Impact conference.
Oh, blue shirt.
Yeah. Market Leap, where he's specializing in investor money for startups, right? And
Yes.
getting them through rounds of funding, which is really beyond my expertise. I kind of have an idea of how it works, but my systems are all basically self-investment and bootstrapping. So when somebody wants to, get investor money, I can do it in real estate, but for businesses, it's a different animal. And he's got a speed run for that. So I was, we had a dialogue just about how I can connect my agency customers to him if they get to that point where they need to raise money, and it's it's outside my expertise and outside. Go to your local credit union and get an SBA loan, right? There's a whole other strategy when it comes to private investors. But anyway, we talked about a collab webinar, and I said I'd bring it up to you guys. So let's do it live. I'm bringing it up to you guys.
And you said, who
That-
was this?
I may have committed us to this at some point.
Who was this again?
Richard Weiler.
At Market Leap.
Yeah.
The same Richard Weiler that just texted me on the 25th and said, hey, Frank, this is Richard with Market Leap. It was so great seeing you at Impact, which is Ken's event. I'd like to schedule a brief 20-minute call, blah, 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 and etc. So text messaging, well, I'm getting a reflection right about there. That's a text message from him. And as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to call that dude back too.
So
Yeah,
check
he
this
did a
out.
good
Because of that,
presentation.
I got the same message. But then I was
But I
actually
got it first.
probably we'll check timestamps. But this was last Thursday night, so it was whenever this drops, it was a couple Thursdays ago.
Yeah.
I was a couple loggers deep, and so I'm like, hey man, is this the Richard Weiler? And he starts texting me back. He's like, yeah, Jonesy, it's actually me. I'm like, oh, dope. I'm like, I thought it was an automated system. So he probably did blast with an automated system, but to a target, aka myself, Frank, somebody who had opted in, target audience, avatars, niched down, and sent the blast out that way. Awesome. That's how you create the reach. But you got to speed to lead. So when I responded, he hit me back right away.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show the efficacy of the right message to the right person has that sort of impact. And it's just a different channel, just a different modality and medium. From a fax machine to a text message, same thing.
Well, as they say, it's not the big that eat the small; it's the fast that eat the slow. And he was on it. He was that his follow-up game is very strong.